Good morning, class. I hope all is well. You're preparing for the holiday break. Thursday. I just wanted to stop by and go over a few things as we're wrapping up not just this module, but soon to be this course. So we just finished Module 6, which talked about the United States Constitution, how many amendments we have, the articles, the Bill of Rights, which rights are guaranteed to us by with the certain amendments. So we spent a module on that. Then now we're moving on to Chapter 7, starting today. We're moving on to Chapter 7, looking at our juvenile justice system. It's very, very important to look at the fact that we have essentially two systems here. We have our criminal or our adult court, and then we have our juvenile system. And some of the language that we use in the juvenile system is different than adult court. For example, in the juvenile court, a juvenile is not found guilty. They're not found guilty in juvenile court. Rather, what happens is they're adjudicated. Just like when you start talking about a trial, so some of the words is in a juvenile court that you will hear: intake, a complaint, a disposition, adjudication, versus in adult court, you're going to hear, a trial, a sentencing. Those are the words which you will not hear in juvenile. So in juvenile, in this module, in this juvenile justice module, we talk about the evolution of our juvenile justice system. The fact that our first juvenile court was established in Chicago, Illinois, and you look at what year that was. So you will need to know what year the first juvenile justice court was established. It also talks about some very important cases that has set case law in our juvenile justice system, such as the Henry Winship case. So I would highly recommend that you look at that and understand the importance of that, the importance of Kent versus United States. You will need to know Kent versus United States as well. So these are court cases that have set precedents, and when you go into the actual juvenile justice class, you're going to talk about it as well. In Graham versus Florida, I don't know if my internet is, am I losing my internet? I'm not sure. I'm going to continue the lecture and we'll see. In Graham versus Florida, the U.S. Supreme Court eliminated the sentencing of life without parole for non-homicide cases involving juveniles. The key to that is non-homicide cases. So a juvenile can no longer be sentenced to life without parole in a non-homicide case. Also, you're going to learn about what constitutional amendment guarantees that juveniles are not sentenced to death, That falls under which amendment and what court case set that precedent. Because at one point, juveniles were able to be sentenced to death, and you can research and see the first juvenile who was actually sentenced to death and what the crime was that he was charged with. It's going to continue also to go in to look at, when you first start talking about in the 18th century, what was the purpose of the juvenile system, or who was responsible for controlling behavior. Then it's going to move you up to the 21st century and talk about what do we have now in our juvenile justice system. The other thing you want to be able to explain is the difference between status offenses and criminal offenses. So what is a status offense? A status offense are laws or acts that are illegal only for a juvenile. So what does that mean? Truancy, for example, because you can't be doing smoking if you're underage, you be smoking. Those are crimes that are only for juveniles that refer to as status offenses. I mean, if you were to do it, if a 20-year-old is smoking cigarettes, there's nothing wrong with that. They're not breaking any offense. But if a 15-year-old is, then we have a problem. So in this, you have your quiz. Let me go in here and make sure for this Module 7, which opens today the 21st, you have your self-assessment and a discussion board. You don't have the journal quiz. I thought you did have the journal quiz, but you do have the journal articles that you can read. Also, please remember, I know that we had some questions about the exam, so I just want to say again, any fill-in-the-blank questions or answers will always be reviewed. So just remember, I will always go back and review those. Now, I did notice that some of these questions were, I'm not sure what happened, but somehow the question has incorrectly marked some of the multiple choice questions. So I will also take a look at that and get some of those fixed. But so definitely email me if there's any multiple choice questions that you have discrepancies with. However, for your fill in the blank, I review all of those automatically anyway, so you do not have to email me on your fill in the blank. So remember, module 7 is open. We are down to just one more module after this. Module 7 is open today and will remain open until the 28th. So module 7 is open today, the 21st, and will remain open to the 28th. Then at which time we will go over to module 8. And I want you to notate that module 8 will close on December 6th. So make sure you look at that. Module 8 will close on December 6th. So feel free to shoot me an email, call, or stop by the office if you have any questions or concerns. I will talk to you guys soon. Bye.